You have a minute for me for the pool?
Sure, I'll answer your question.
Okay. Talk to us about this. Was there venting at you? How much anger was directed at you? Was in your direction?
I didn't feel any anger at all. People
Really?
shared their perspective on the budget process, the leadership process, and I hope we get to our single subject spending bills as soon as possible.
And do you think that, are you in favor of any sort of changes to any sort of rules that would help you elect the next speaker? And who has got your support right now?
Well, I think we have two great folks running for speaker, and Jim Jordan and Steve Scalise. If either of them were to get a majority of the vote in the conference, that's who I would be supporting on the floor. It's an embarrassment of riches with those two great men, two great leaders, and I think either of them will do a great job for us.
Kevin McCarthy's idea of him coming back?
I wouldn't bet on it.
Hi.
Hi. Okay, a couple things. First, let's start with the sort of anger and everything at the direction of the aides. Was it constructive? Was it mad? Was it where did this fall?
No, it was actually a constructive meeting. I think members had an opportunity to really go home, come back, process their thoughts a little bit. And I think it was much more about, where do we go from here? I thought it was very constructive.
Is there anything towards, on the where you go from here, changing the threshold, changing the motion to vacate, or changing it where Patrick McHenry has some more power in the interim in case this drags on for too long?
Well, I don't think the members are too interested in giving the Speaker pro tem more authorities, because I think everybody really reveres the power of the House, and they want to make sure they elect a Speaker to have that. So I don't think that's yes, ma'am. And I don't think that's going to occur. I think with respect to the motion to vacate, there's just not consensus, with what's going on there. I think there is broad agreement that members do want to see 218 votes in our conference.
But if there's a majority of the members in there, the 113, is that enough to go before everybody will go with that? Or is there not agreement?
I don't think so. I think our members, they want to see consensus. And I actually agree with that. I think that a consensus, especially with where we are right now, actually empowers the person who's going to become the next Speaker of the House to go and do the work on behalf of the entire House of Representatives.
Congressman, is that even possible, though, to reach consensus right now? Is it possible to get to 217 or 218 behind closed doors?
I think so. I think it is possible. My comments were more along the lines of, some of the hardest pieces of legislation we did this Congress so far was you sat down in the room, you got across with people who had different opinions, you started hashing through those opinions, and you got to a place where we could then go on the floor and pass that bill. You guys have watched that happen time and time again in this conference. So do I think it's impossible? No, I don't. I think that it's going to take some work. It's going to take a lot of conversations and agreements and talk. But then we'll land at a place, we'll get there, and then we'll go back to work.
Was this war in Israel any sort of, pushing this conversation of choosing a speaker sooner rather than later?
Yeah, I think that the members do understand the urgency at the moment. The fortunate thing is that the White House does have funds for these type of catastrophic events that do take place, and the White House does have authority with the Commander-in-Chief to do that. But the House will be ready to answer the bell if necessary.
And should anything happen to the 8 who voted to vacate?
No.
Voted out of conference, voted out?
No. They're members of Congress. Every member is given a voting card by their district, not by the Republican conference, not by a Speaker of the House. It's by the people who sent them here. And even though members will disagree on how they vote on pieces of legislation, look, I disagree on how members vote on pieces of legislation, but that doesn't mean that they should be removed from our conference. I don't agree with that.
Do you think it's helpful that McCarthy is now hinting that he is still running and a potential candidate in this?
He hinted at that?
He didn't turn it. He hasn't knocked it down. But several times he's been asked.
Do you think that's helpful, constructive to your negotiation?
We all tend to keep our options open. I'll leave it at that.
How confident are you that you can, quickly get to a new speaker? I know you said that there's a lot of desire for that, but
Right.
Are you confident that's something that can be done this
Yeah,
week?
I am confident actually. I've seen this conference when it was almost clear we were nowhere on an issue. We found a way to get there. So I have confidence in that, and I think that I think all my colleagues. We're going to rise to this occasion. We're going to have a new speaker, and then we're going to go from there.
Where in the arc of that are you, though? On a night like tonight, before the meeting, after the meeting, you were where, and what was the value of this night to getting to go where?
Well, I think this wasn't the start. I think the start was a lot of people got a chance to go home, go other places, kind of get back to reality, the real world, and not just the ups and downs of this place. So I think that helped. Actually, I think that's one of the reasons why this was even more constructive. I think if it was last Wednesday, oh man, you forget the phones. You guys would have heard it through the door probably. But I think that, you know, when you get out of here, you see your family, you see your friends, you talk to people who aren't tied into this process day in, day out. It gives perspective. I think coming here, members were able to express themselves on some key issues. I think that was important. So I would probably say, you know, we're halfway there.
Congressman, you have endorsed Chairman Jordan
Yes.
To be the next speaker. What about Chairman Jordan do you think makes him such a good candidate to
Well,
earn your endorsement to be the next speaker?
I mean, Jim, his viewpoint of politics and the way this place should operate is very similar to mine. And that's not to diminish Dieter Scalise at all. Plus, I think that, you know, Jim being at the forefront of our party right now is going to be really critical in terms of holding this administration accountable and being able to speak very clearly about the way House Republicans and the House in general view our country and what we think needs to happen both domestically and internationally. I think the third piece is, with all that's going on in this Congress, it might be time for a new look at leadership. Let's just be honest. I mean, we wouldn't be at this place, you know, if our leadership was batting 1,000. So it might be time to have a new look at leadership. I'm not opposed to that. It's about getting the business of the country done. I think Jim can do that.
Speaking of,
Jordan, do you have a moment for us? Before you
I'm leaving now.
do you have a moment for us?
We were just talking about it. What we were just talking about.